Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unbroken Veterans Podcast, where we have Cyndy and Meghan joining us, and I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Hi, flattered to be here and honored to be here. I'm Cyndy Jones, co-founder of Heroes in Transition, a nonprofit 501c3.
Heroes in Transition. I am the fundraising and events manager. I am also an Iraq War veteran.
Perfect. Outstanding. So getting right to it, how can a veteran benefit from y'all's program?
Want me to
Cindy,
take?
you definitely can speak to that.
Okay.
You started all this and created this beautiful organization.
Yes. Heroes in Transition is, like I said, a nonprofit 501c3. It was started in 2009 when my husband and I lost our son, Captain Eric Jones, a Marine, Huey pilot. Losing Eric was probably the most horrific thing that I will ever live through. But we wanted to make sure his life, there was a legacy to his life. He loved people. He loved the Marines. He just loved his men. So when we lost him, we decided to help veterans coming home, returning home. The title Heroes in Transition. So it's a matter of transitioning into a civilian world. However, we have extended that. What we focused on was adjusting to the coming home, knowing that this is a difficult time to relate, carrying all that you have been through combat and through any military experience, that trauma. Coming home to a civilian world is very difficult. So we started with programs. We started with service dogs to get men and women out. However, it just expanded to other areas. We went into equine therapy. We went into doing veteran groups, but we found out with veteran groups, we needed to bring the spouses in. That brought it all together. So we do couples groups, we do veteran groups, we do family groups, we do couples. Couples is very important. Then we expanded it to not only developing a community and a that bring back that brotherhood and sisterhood that is missing when a veteran comes home. We expanded that community level to help with relationships. And then we got into helping couples relationships because we did our research and at the time in 2016, 2015, 16, it became noted that divorce rates were very high. So we started doing couple retreats. We have specialists coming in to help with that. Dr. Clyde Angel is just our man who will do the retreats. We do 2 couple retreats. They're weekend retreats on the Cape. Everything that we do is completely free. But in doing couples retreats, we also brought in families, and we bring the families in around the horse. We have a week for each family to be with the horse. And this coming back from a deployment, pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment, working, putting the families together with doing horse equine therapy. Equine therapy is just extremely powerful. And then we decided to add to that by doing equine warrior weekends with just veterans. And this is limited to 8 veterans for a weekend. They come on a Friday and they stay in through Friday afternoon, stay until Sunday. They are immersed with the horses. They stay for a whole weekend. We're at the stables at the camp. And then we moved up to the self-care part of it, which we found very effective. We started with the females, we worked with, and then to the males, we do a program called Reboot and Regroup. And one is only females, one's only and we mix the veteran with the spouses in those 2 groups. And that is to work on, it's a 6-week sessions to work on resiliency, mindfulness, meditation. And then we added another layer. We added a spiritual layer, which I hesitant to use that word, but it is because this program that is that was developed. We have the author of that program, like I had mentioned, Dr. Clyde Angel. That program works with and the veterans. The Searching for Meaning is just for veterans. It deals with anger, coming home with anger, identifying your triggers, forgiving yourself and moving on, and then deals with grief, all kinds of grief. And because we had that program and we saw improvement with our veterans, we with the females, the spouses, one spouse came to me with tears in her eyes and said, "We need something more." So Dr. Angel had developed another program for just for the spouses, and that's called Seeking the I Am. So we have covered all that. And in doing all that, that spiritual, the self-care, we found out through research that it's amazing what you can find online, that a lot of veterans, when they come home, they just sit, they can't get it together, and sit and not moving created, they'll start drinking or they'll start eating. So we decided to create a program called Firm, which is a 6-week program where you go to a gym, we have a Cape Cod rehab gym here. It's not a gym, it's a rehab center. But Megan helped us develop this. She took the concept and prepared the program, and that gets the body moving. So we feel like we covered it all.
That is a lot. You did a good job covering it very fast. So I guess my first question then is, so when did this start? What year did this kind of begin? Because clearly it's grown and grown and grown and grown, which is fantastic.
It's been, like I said, we lost Eric in October in 2009.
Right.
We immediately, our lawyer, David Nunheimer, got on board, jumped on board immediately, wrote up the bylaws, submitted it. So by 2010, mid 2010, we got our 501c3, and then we were off and running. So it's been 15 years, 15 and a half years. And it's just been an unbelievable experience, because the people working with them, being close to the veterans, listening to their needs, and then watching these beautiful people jump on board to help. The empathy, the compassion, just so beautiful to see, especially in the world today.
Yeah.
And that's when Megan came on board with it. So we're just so blessed in all kinds of ways.
That was my question. So then how Megan found you, and then Megan, kind of where you picked up, and how your role has evolved since then.
Actually, so one of the largest fundraisers for Heroes in Transition is called Rock for Hit, which is actually about to happen starting almost a week next week. And I, at the time, was working in physical therapy at Cape Cod Rehab. And because this is such an intense and grueling event, it's a 200-mile relay race that goes through all 15 towns on Cape Cod. And while carrying 10 to 20 pounds on in a ruck, they actually have PT out on the course. So a friend of mine said, "Hey, like this sounds right up your alley. You should come to one of the meetings to learn more about it and see if you can get involved with the physical therapy." So I joined the physical therapy team. But with that, and going to it was actually Nicole Spencer, the former executive director, when she heard that I was a veteran, and then I also lost my husband to suicide when we came, who also was an Iraq War veteran, when we came home from Iraq. When Nicole Spencer heard my story, she immediately wanted me to meet Cyndy. And I will never forget that day. We met at Cape Cod Coffee for breakfast, and when you go through challenges and situations, and our stories are different, but yet at the same time, pain is pain, and we just immediately connected. She was just so, I think when you talk about hard situations and you talk about it to other people, they sometimes can get uncomfortable or don't know what to ask or don't know what to talk about, or, but Cyndy just knew. She knew the questions to ask. She knew. Yeah. And I just immediately felt at home with her, and
Yeah.
able to be myself and truly vulnerable and share things with her that, I sometimes don't share with others.
Right.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, and so Rock continued to grow. I started on the course, volunteering on the PT team. The next year, I worked on developing the cross training program. Um, for the next year's event. Then the year after that, continued with the cross training program, put together my own team and participated last year. And then I joined the board of directors for the organization. But one day in a board meeting, we're sitting there and we're talking about, it's wonderful. We're at a point, the organization's at a point where we can now hire people full time. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? I feel like I would have much more of an impact working with the organization on a day to day. So I actually stepped down from the board and interviewed for the position for the fundraising and events manager because we have these 15 beautiful programs, but we are not funded at all by any type of government agency. So it is truly important for us to, put on these amazing fundraising events like the Rock for Hit and our gala, and we participate in some Falmouth Road Race, Second Summer Cycle. So I just know the importance of continuing to raise money for the organization. So I felt, so I started in February of this year, full time. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you so much.
Yeah. Speaking to where you were saying about, when you're opening up to somebody and, they either kind of feel awkward, or I kind of find that there's this ambivalence for people who haven't experienced, like Cyndy's part of, she's in because she's felt loss. Other people who have felt loss, or people who are veterans themselves, that there's just I don't want to call it a different level because it's not one over the other, but it's just, I guess you're in a different arena of understanding. And that's where the more Nick and I do this kind of stuff and talk to people with these groups that get together, it's helping, it's putting everybody to understand each other in one place. And so that's fantastic that you guys are able to do that. One of the reasons we're interested in interviewing you guys is promoting groups like this, where you don't have to worry about being at work with people who just don't get it. Nothing wrong with that, but they don't. And putting them in an environment with people who probably will get it.
I always
So,
found it important when I go out to give talks, especially in the very beginning, to educate people, to educate civilians. Because unless you've had the experience, unless you've had a loved one who's gone in, or you yourself have had the experience like Meghan, and they just it's hard to grasp the sacrifice that you all make to serve. I mean, it just boggles my mind. So when I go out to talk, most of it is to bring in to tell about the hardships, to tell about the sacrifices, the good things, but the sacrifices that one makes to serve our country for our protection. I mean, it boggles my mind what you all can do and have done.
I just do it because I'm hard headed.
No, no, you don't get away with that.
um, so what starts, Cindy? I'll kind of go back and forth with questions between the two of you. Cindy, what has been your most precious tool in kind of getting all this going, interacting with people, and helping this whole thing grow into what it has?
Um, I've learned to listen.
Mm,
And from listening, that's where the programs come from. I love to take veterans out, and I do this a lot. I take them out for breakfast or lunch, and just sit and just talk with them and listen to what their needs are, because everybody has a different need, everybody has a different experience, but it's like, what can we do to help? We this is what ours is, to make your life comfortable, to prevent the suicide part of it.
mm-hmm.
So you bring in family, you bring in the spiritual part, you bring in the mind, the physical, and you bring it all together. Everybody needs something. So what's been extremely powerful to me and has opened up a world, I mean, a world I never would have known had I not had Eric, and never would have experienced had Eric survived. I probably would have gone on like most people and say, "Oh, okay." But knowing the sacrifices has made me such a better person, a more understanding person, and just an
Mhm.
you all.
Yeah. All right.
I think something that's truly special about this and this organization, um, in kind of what really why it's a mother's love for a son. Although I never met Eric or saw, Cyndy and Eric together, like it just, I don't know how to describe it, but we all just feel that love that she had towards him and for him still. And it just somehow weaves itself throughout the organization. And we all feel that. And I really think this whole thing has grown out of a mother's love for her son.
Yeah.
Could you almost say that Cyndy is taking new sons and daughters under her wing to take care of them?
100%. 100%. And Cyndy, it is
Say that.
family. Cyndy, yeah, I know. Unfortunately, we are family. And Cyndy's home is open to all, and you go and she cooks and sits down, and it is family for sure.
All right. Great.
I think that's the main thing when you come home to bring back that brotherhood and sisterhood. Done a lot of reading, a lot of research, and I just know the person that my son was. He loved people, but my house was always filled with his friends. I think that when a veteran comes home or transitions out, that loss of that brotherhood, that the way they had been living for a number of years, you have to bring that back. And bringing that back, you
Mhm.
create a family. We had one person on one of our facilitators started using Sebastian Young's word in the book, The Tribe, and he called it a tribe, and I went, no, this is a family. It's me. Hit is one big family, and that's what I hope that they get from us.
Excellent. So, Megan, similar question. What has it, starting obviously when you came on to your growth now, what has been your most precious tool in being a part of all this?
In starting all of this, my most precious tool,
Mhm.
my involvement with this. So after losing Kurt, I came home. Kurt and I came home from Iraq over 20 years ago, and when we came home, there were not programs like this. And really, for me, it is working and doing this and supporting this organization and seeing this organization grow is part of something bigger than me and part of my healing journey. So, yeah, I don't see it as like a job or anything like that. It truly has brought me so much joy, has helped me so much in my healing process, just being involved with everything.
Excellent. Okay. Um, so from people want to get more information standpoint, whether they're wanting to get started in the program, whether they're just looking for more information, I usually figure the answer to this question is probably something to do with the website. But for people wanting more information, what are some good resources that they can use?
Yes, if you go to our website, which is www.heroesintransition.org, you can definitely see all of the programs that we have to offer. There's the 15 programs that are laid out there, but a great way is also to sign up for our newsletter because like Cyndy said, we have, we kind of have our main solid 15 programs that run throughout the year, but we have monthly veterans activities like a fly tying class just happened. There was for the spouses, they went to like a salt cave. So a lot of that information comes out through our newsletter.
Okay, great. For the trips, like whether it's just the spouses or families or etc., are these different locations? Is there one main location that everybody goes to, or how does that work?
Our retreats are usually in one location on the Cape, and they're on the water, the cove. A beautiful setting.
Hmm.
Gives them a chance to get away, especially if you have children. So it's their time. Our equine warrior weekend, obviously, as it is in near the stables, is right on the land. It's a YMCA camp. It's Camp
Oh.
Linden, and in Sandwich, beautiful, idyllic, just a gorgeous setting. It's country setting to me. It's a New Hampshire setting. Forgive me for those who are on the Cape. Um, and then the community programs, the monthly family programs that can be all over. In the fall, you go up to apple picking or pumpkin picking, and there are excursions. We go to sports events and stuff like that. So the community programs are out and they do things. Like Megan said, there's salt caves, and then maybe have an excursion up in Boston. They probably, those are out. The relationship ones are basically here, in our places that we rent out. And then the self-care, we now have our own office.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a big thing for us. So we will be having those sessions in the office. We have the first floor is for our
Yeah.
programs. So yeah, we're at Cape Cod, but we have a strong presence at on the base, Joint Base Cape Cod. And
Okay.
we service we assist servicemen and women there. They're welcome to our programs. There's no age limit to our programs. Maybe doing an equine warrior, maybe doing a fit program with a baby may not be quite conducive to
Yeah.
the horseback riding, but it's all ages, all times, all takes in Vietnam veterans. We even have a Korean veteran, and it just mulls everybody together, which is just it's wonderful. It's like a family, and they bond with each other, and it's just so beautiful to see.
So many people don't know this. I have actually a pretty large background in horsemanship. So I'm
Oh,
really
come
curious.
on down.
Yeah, so it's
How many
CHA.
programs?
I was working on CHA level 4, so I could teach up to level 3. Probably well expired by
Wow.
now, but anyway. So my question is, obviously there's a lot of people know a lot about service dogs and emotional support animals and things like that, and I have a lot of interaction with horses, obviously. But I'm kind of curious how the horse interaction works versus a dog and on its own. What the class is like, what you've seen from people interacting with the horses, all that kind of stuff.
And I can speak to that personally. We started with service dogs. And the service dogs we got our dogs that were highly trained. We got dogs that were ADI certified up at needs. However, what the service dogs did was the veteran was able to get out of the house, but the veterans didn't come into a group. They tend to take their dog, and we didn't see them, which we wanted to create that bonding. We wanted to create that community. So the horses was absolutely magical. And to be honest with you, I've had a spiritual experience with a horse, a wild horse out in South Dakota. So horses, this is my favorite subject. When you put, as an example, when the veterans come for a weekend, like I said, there are 8 veterans and 2 facilitators one is a retired VA psychiatrist, and the other one is a retired chaplain. And that connection is unbelievable. How we met him. But anyways, for that weekend, a perfect example is that they walk up because they're military, so they're up at 6 o'clock, breakfast, and then they go up to the stables. It's a short walk. Just walking, putting the horses out, and saying to the veteran, go pick your own horse. And the people, they just, they'll like, okay, but not, it's, it all depends how, and because you're an expert at this. A horse and a person, they will have to decide. The horse will decide if he wants to be with you, or it all depends
Yeah.
how it's either fight or flight, right? With the horse, you just watch those ears, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's up to the veteran to relax and to pick the horse. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes a horse will not accept a veteran, a certain.
Mm-hmm.
So that is magical. At the end of the weekend, they spent all day Saturday and then Sunday morning. At the end of the weekend, it's just the relax you can see, because you have to control, you have to relax, because a horse lives in the present.
Yep.
That's where we need to live, is in the now, like Eckhart Tolle, live in the now. With a horse, when you're with a horse, you live in the now, or that horse
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to have, is going to rub the wrong way. We had one veteran last year. He said, I got more out of 3 days with being with a horse than 3 years in therapy. I mean,
Interesting.
horses just do magic. I know personally myself, right after Eric died, someone said to me, well, let's how about doing horses with the veterans? And I went down and I met all the horses, and I'm going to a meeting, and I stood in front of a stall, and this one horse, big horse, and he kept nudging me in the chest. And all of a sudden I just literally felt my grief come out of my body and come down beside me. It wasn't in me, it was beside me. That's how much a horse. And then the spiritual, being with a wild, I had a wild horse do that to me. It's just horses sense, they know, and
Yeah.
it's very, very, very powerful. What we do in the equine therapy is where the owners bring in their veterinarian. She does Reiki on the horses,
Oh,
and
really?
veterans get to experience
Interesting.
massaging of the horses, identifying the energy levels in a horse and in themselves, and that is powerful as well.
I think what fascinates me about it is I didn't think about, like, you've got people that, veterans or not, that become a better parent when they suddenly have a kid. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've got something dependent on me. And I didn't think about the horse's dependence on reading everything, and they depend on a human. They get a lot of reading off a human. I know that. And so kind of makes you manage yourself in
Yeah.
favor of the horse, kind of like it would, like a person would for a kid. So I'd never even considered that as a possibility. It makes total sense, though.
I saw a beautiful demonstration one time where a woman was put into the corral, and he was told to put the bridle on the horse. The horse had a person there who did it. This other person, the first person went in, was very comfortable with the horse, put the bridle on the horse, was fine, the ears were up. This woman entered the corral immediately. The horse knew she was nervous. Sensed that
Mm-hmm.
nervousness. Those ears went back. That
Mm-hmm.
woman stood in front of the horse, shaking with the bridle.
Yeah.
And until she knew she had to do it, she had to take deep breaths. She had to relax. She had to bring herself there. And then the horse would allow her to do that. So horses give you that power of living in the now. And I think when you have trauma, you've got to get into the now to realize it's right now. This is life. It's beautiful. Taking a deep breath. It's all okay. And
Mm-hmm.
horses do that for our veterans.
Yeah. Yeah. Megan, what kind of similar success stories have you seen in your time?
Working with the organization. Well, I just experienced one of our couple retreats this past weekend. And now the facilitators of that event have gone through the program, and actually through a few of the couple of programs, and we're up and sharing on, how the couple programs has helped with their communication. They're taught taught skills and to how to communicate better and truly connect. And so it's definitely our couples programs have saved marriages. There are people that are about to divorce and they get into one of these retreats, and it's a lot of fun. There's fun and all that. We were bowling and doing arcades and laser tag, and for one of the days kind of having just that like back to your childlike self and having joy and fun and not thinking about anything. And then the second day you're doing a little work, and so yeah, it's special, and it has saved marriages. So
What do you think is one of the most pivotal parts of it that's contributing to the success of saving marriages?
Communication.
yeah, communication.
Our fall retreat really lays heavy on communication. It's a full day Saturday of being and learning the tools on proper ways of communicating. And if you with anybody who and with PTSD, you don't know when a trigger is going to happen. You don't know when it's coming out, or the person themselves don't mean to, but they have to, and and it teaches those who have trauma to be able to express it, not to keep it in. And when you keep it in, you don't know, you can't communicate, and your spouse doesn't understand. So the fall retreat, like I said, is Dr. Clyde Angel. He has developed the program. The VA had adopted the program. It's a program called Pairs. And it actually, that whole day actually teaches you different ways of communicating. There's one that's called emptying the vessel. And that's when sitting with your partner and one partner says, I have a problem with this. And the other partner can't say anything but say, and what else? And what else? And then before you know it, the main problem finally comes out. It's just there are different techniques of getting the message out. That fall retreat is very powerful in communication.
That's fascinating. So when you have a retreat, how many days is it? And then typically, it sounds like there's an ebb and flow of more directed work as far as working on ourselves, working on ourselves as couples, and then also activities. Is it kind of day by day? Is it part of the day is this, part of the day is that? How does that look?
You want to?
Yeah, so like Cyndy said, we had like the two couples retreat. One happens in the springtime, one happens in the fall, and that's typically a weekend. Where you're away, we're providing accommodations, all the meals, and all that stuff. But then we have like one of our families programs is our FIT program, and that's a week long, Cyndy. But that's and that's just set aside a few hours out of the day where the family is going to come and go. But it lasts a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like when you're talking about like our fitness program, Firm Fitness in Real Motion, we run those, about 4 to 5 times a year, and there's
Okay.
typically like a 6-week series, like you're meeting once a week. And then same thing with like our reboot and regroup. It's like a 6 to 8 week series. Sometimes you're meeting in person, once a week. Other times it's a little bit of a hybrid where there's like you're meeting in person, but then there's some online work as well.
Okay, so I kind of misunderstood, and it's just mainly three separate. I guess
It's a
I don't say
hierarchy.
classes, but
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
it's a hierarchy. Yeah.
The
yeah,
hierarchy, the first level is to build a community. The second level is to to help with relationships, and the top level is yourself. Is self-care, the mindfulness part, the spiritual. We're trying to bring body, mind, and soul together.
okay. Um, so this question is both for both of you as well, just because I'm looking for as much information as possible. What is y'all's advice to somebody trying to get into one of these programs and interested in doing these things?
Our website, and constant contact. And on our website, you can register into our programs, and then you get notified and fill out a registration. And then in some cases, we have a lot of people, so we have to do a lottery. The FIT program is the one that's in the summertime. We do four sessions, 4 weeks separate, and that is a very popular one because families love to come to that,
Okay.
especially families who are a parent who's coming back from a deployment. And when you come back from a deployment, that adjusting back into a
Yeah.
family. So
What about in
again,
terms of kind of like when they come to it, their mentality, what things they could only focus on really one thing, what would you kind of direct them toward?
in fit, they're like the equine. You're standing around your horse. The family's given one horse. They're taught how to groom the horse and their different riding techniques, and then they go out horseback riding. I do have one of the stories that I just love to tell. The very first time we did it, the National Guard, the Army National Guard, had just left on Cape Cod. They had just left for a year. And you can imagine a child adjusting to a father or mother going away for a year. I just can't imagine. We had one little girl who was very quiet, very shy, didn't talk to anybody, and never been near a horse and scared to death. She came and she managed to get on the horse the first night, but she came with anger. She was so angry that her father had left. It was his third deployment in her lifetime, and she was only 8 years old. She was so angry at her father, she refused to Skype and refused to have anything to do with him when he left. At the end of the night, she walked back to the car with her mother, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Mom, I can't wait until I get home so I can Skype Dad to tell him I'm
Mm,
on a horse." Something like that. And what that did, more so than that, was that this girl lived in a community with civilian families, mothers and fathers home. Her father was gone. She had a hard time relating to her friends. He made friends that night with other veteran kids and veteran, they bonded, and she realized she wasn't the only one.
that's
So
excellent.
it groups people together. It makes that family, brings that family connection.
Hmm.
Kind of
Megan,
get involved with us is if you don't have the time to right now, or you think you don't have the time, or you think you might not need it, or really our like our monthly veteran activities, because they're more like lighthearted, they're fun, and then
hmm
that's where you typically sometimes our veteran outreach coordinators there, you can ask more questions about some of the other kind of more in-depth programs, so sometimes it's good just to come to one of the monthly veterans group, and do something fun, meet a few new people, and a lot of times the people within those groups have taken the programs, and they can talk to you more about the programs, and kind of figure out what might be right for you.
Excellent.
And every program that we have there's a meal included. There's
Yes.
a time to come together to share, to break bread. And that's something that we started from the get-go. Being an Italian, you've got to bring food. And when you bring food to the table to people, they relax, they listen. I mean, Jesus did his ministry around food and drink.
Hmm.
That's how and when we have food, when we sit around a table, it's kind of hard to get tense and everything else because food food is nurturing. And
It
that's what
is.
we're trying to do, is to nurture the men and women and their children.
Excellent. So I'm also kind of curious about the fitness part. I do think, again, Nick and I doing this for a few years now. Uh, I see such, it's like building blocks and people getting their life together and one thing affects another and vice versa. And so for the fitness part, is it all in person? So when they come to, I guess, seminar, maybe for lack of a better term, or a class, then is it all there? And then there's stuff they can take away from them. Is that somewhat how it works?
Yes. So the way the program is designed, it's a 6 week program, and the group and it's a small group again, and the group comes together, and they go through like a little lecture, with different topics like nutrition, how to build strength, some injury prevention type, like an informational session, about 15 minutes. And then they go through typically like a circuit style, strength class together. So you have that kind of community, but, so you're not just going to the gym one time. There is, they get an app that they have a program built out for them, so they can exercise on other days. And so you're not lost. So you're not just going there. You have a program to follow, but you also get time with one-on-one with the personal trainer to take it like a little deeper dive into what you want to do. And then you have exposure to all the classes and things that the gym has to offer. So like if you can try out a spin class, you can try out a yoga class. The great thing about Fit Plain Cape Cod and Mashpee Rehab, there's a beautiful saltwater heated pool. So you get to take some aquatics. So you really can kind of, and it's a free gym membership during that time period. So they can go back to the gym and try things out whenever they want.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
As far as the fitness stuff, is there any, or I guess even any of it, but especially the fitness stuff, is there any online material they can refer back to? Do they get anything? I'm assuming they can take notes.
Yeah,
but
like all the materials and presentations and things that they go through. Yes, they have access to refer back to. And yeah, it's typically that 6-week program that they start with, they can continue on with and build from. They're taught the tools kind of how to build from there.
All right. Well, Cyndy, Meghan, I don't have any other questions. I think you both have done a fantastic job covering any of the questions I had regarding Heroes in Transition. And I hope the listeners are going to check everything out per usual. We're going to have links and everything in all our descriptions. Thank you both so much for coming on and talking about it. It's a wonderful program. It's definitely one of those that I'll probably look into for myself as well.
Yay.
Yay.
We'll see you at the Equine Warrior weekend.
Yes, come
Perfect.
to Cape Cod.
I would love to. All right, well, thank you both again, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We thank you for listening, and we hope you got something helpful out of this.
Right now, the best way to support us is to simply spread the word. If you know a fellow veteran who could use some resources to elevate their life, send them our way.
Until next time, remember to check your 0s, 5s, 10s, and 25s.